Dear students, we'll start with the second part of this lesson. We had come to know how there was a earthquake, and because of that there was a great disaster or a very painful situation in the family of Bridge, that is the owner of the tea shop. He lost his mother, his grandmother, and also his brother, that is Neelu. But later on it was very clear that there was no any information about his sister, that is Buli. So he was really in a confused state. So he came to know that she was not there. Even the dead bodies were only 3, and thus he was in a confused state. So let us continue with the lesson and we'll come to know what was the situation there. So see here, they have not found her. My uncle said, the wild animals. Bridge, don't look like that, she is dead. But we must find her, I shouted. Bridge, get a grip on yourself, uncle pleaded. But I was beyond reasoning. I ran back to the village, to the spot where my house had stood. They were not able to find her, and his uncle, he just guessed or he just thought whether the wild animals might have killed her or there was some problem. And he also told Bridge not to be very tensed, she is dead. So he wanted to make it clear to Bridge that his sister is also no more. But we must find her, I shouted. Bridge was not ready to accept that. He started shouting that, however, we have to know what has happened to her. Again, uncle tells him, Bridge, get a grip on yourself. So here, it is a usage of an idiom, that is, he has to control himself. Yes, it is really a disastrous situation. He is not in a position to bear that pain because already he has lost his family members. Again, there is no clear picture about what has happened to his sister. So his uncle is telling, try to control yourself. Uncle pleaded. Pleaded means he requested. But I was beyond reasoning. He was not at all ready to accept it. Beyond reasoning means he is not ready to listen to any of the suggestions or the aspects that was being discussed there. I ran back to the village, to the spot where my house had stood. He wanted to know now what has happened to his sister. So he went back to the same place where this disaster has happened, that is, his house was completely destroyed. So he ran back to that place. There was still so much debris. I scrambled around, shifting the earth and stones. How long I was on my knees, searching, crying, searching. Boy, it is no use, a voice said. I looked up. The speaker was the army officer who had supervised the relief operation. There is no one alive in there, he said. Whom are you looking for? My sister, Sahib, I said, fighting to control my tears. All I want is to give her a proper cremation. So this is the situation wherein he is searching for his sister. There was still so much debris. Debris is wreckage, means all the left out things or the destroyed buildings. So that is called as the debris. I scrambled around, shifting the earth and stones. Scramble around means just go on searching, trying to push all the things or pull things and to know where she is. How long I was on my knees searching, crying, searching. So he was ready to search her. So he was just kneeling down and he was searching her and going on crying. So this was a situation which was really a painful one. Boy, it is no use. Suddenly there was a voice telling him it is no use. Who was that person? He looked up. Looked up means he tried to know who is there, and the speaker was a army officer. In the beginning only we saw that there were the army people who had come there to help the people to clear off the place or to clear off the roads and also shift the people who were alive or to give them treatment. So here there was an army officer who had supervised the relief operation. Relief means they tried to help out the people there, the relief operation. So that army officer said, there is no use. There is no one alive in there. No one is alive. He said, who are you looking for? So who are you searching for? Looking for is searching. Who are you searching? My sister, Sahib, he replied. I am searching for my sister. I said, fighting to control my tears. Means he is not able to control his tears. So he is somehow trying to control it, and then he is answering. All I want is to give her a proper cremation. Okay, if she is not alive, even then I just want to search her body so that I can cremate her in a proper way or according to the rituals. Cremation is burying. Cremate, bury the, cremation is burning the body. So with firewood or with the electricity burial, whatever it is, I want to cremate her. I stopped, conscious that I was babbling. I could see that he was bone tired. He looked as if he had not slept for days. His uniform was covered with dust. His face was grimy, but through all the dust and grim, I saw that his eyes were kind. My men have been on their feet for days, he said softly, as if talking to himself. They have done all they could here. Tomorrow at daybreak, we go to another village just like this, then another. So now when the army officer asked him, he gave the clarification. Then suddenly he felt that he is speaking something which has not got proper sense. So he tells here, I stopped. Conscious means he came out of that situation. Conscious is fully aware of. So he was into that grief so much that he was going on talking something. So suddenly he came out of that and he felt that, what is that? He was babbling. Babbling is talk half articulately, repeat. Means you go on telling whatever you have told, and sometimes it will be completely senseless when you are into that situation. And he saw that person. I could see that he was bone tired. Means he is completely tired because he was into that work of getting set everything there. He looked as if he had not slept for days. His uniform was covered with dust. His face was grimy. Grimy is very dirt or also not a clear appearance. But through all the dust and grim, I saw that his eyes were kind. Even though he has worked so much and he was very much tired, even then he could see, who could see? Bridge could see that kindness in the eyes of that army officer. This tells us how dedicated that army officer was. So he goes on explaining. The army officer tells now, my men have been on their feet for days. Means on their feet means they were always running about, searching for everything, getting set everything. So that is the meaning. On their feet means they were all busy. So again this is a idiomatic usage. So they were all busy, and how did he tell? He told it very softly, as if talking to himself, as if he was just telling to himself. Again he told that they have done all they could. So whatever they could do here, they have done it. Tomorrow we are shifting to some other village where there is same problem or we have the same work, and once we finish there, we will be moving to the another. So that is their work. He looked away at the sun setting behind the peaks. Down in the valley, the pirates burnt row upon row. The officer muttered something, shook his head and turned away. A terrible despair engulfed me. I lay there among the ruins of my house and cried. 10 minutes later, the officer was back. With him were 3 soldiers armed with spades and crowbars. Without a word, the men began removing the debris. They labored doggedly. So here again the situation. So who looked at the sun setting? The army officer. He looked at the sun setting behind the peaks. It is a view of the nature. Down in the valley, the pirates burned. So many dead bodies were there. So down in the valley, there were burning of those dead bodies. The pirates means the firewood which will be arranged for the burning of the bodies. In Kannada you call it as kashta. So all the firewoods were arranged there and the bodies were kept on that, and they were burning row upon the row, means so many bodies. The officer muttered something, means telling something slowly, muttered something, shook his head and turned away. So he was also so disturbed. So being an officer, he is also a human being. So he is seeing so many dead bodies there and he is seeing destruction there. So even they also get disturbed mentally, isn't it? So he told something within himself, shook his head, wherein it, depicts his feelings, shook his head and turned away, means he left that place. So here it is a phrasal verb. A terrible despair engulfed me. Engulfed is swallowed, means he was into a terrible despair, a painful situation, so much of disturbance, and he just wanted to get the body of his sister if she is dead, or he wanted her to be alive. So there were only 2 options, but he wanted to see her. I lay there among the ruins of my house and cried. I lay there means he just laid beside there among the ruins. The house was completely destroyed and he was crying. 10 minutes later, the officer was back. So the officer came back again after the 10 minutes. With him there were 3 soldiers. So he brought some soldiers and they all had spades and the crowbars. So these are the things which are used to dig the ruins there or to move it. The spades and the crowbar. So crowbar, it will be made out of iron and you have, it will be also very pointed at the tip. The spades, they are like broad pan like things with long handle with which you can move the things. The spades and crowbars. Without a word, they didn't even ask anything. They just started their work. So what did they do? They started moving the debris, the remainings there. They labored doggedly. They worked so hard, doggedly, without any, without showing any sadness or any laziness. Firmly they were working. So they were dedicated so much. Being army officers or soldiers, they just involved in clearing the places, trying to find out people and helping out. So this is the dedication actually we see in this army officers. When it was completely dark, someone brought a few lit Petromax lamps. 2 hours later, a soldier called out, Sahib. He stood in the middle of a small hollow. The wall had caved in at that spot. I recognized a part of a door. beneath it a small foot. Feverishly, the soldiers began to clear the hollow. Then they lifted the door. "She is alive," someone said. It was a miracle. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. So here it was a result of what Bridge was waiting. When it was completely dark, so almost the work went on till the evening or almost to night. So someone brought a few lit Petromax lamps. Petromax, it is just the brand of paraffin lamp which is used as the lantern. In olden days, the lanterns were used by people. Yeah. So it is just the brand of that lamps. So here, when they brought those lamps, 2 hours later, a soldier called out, "Sahib." The soldiers called their officer. He stood in the middle of a small hollow. The wall had caved in at that spot. So he was standing there, middle of the small hollow. Hollow means the place where it was open, and there the wall had caved. Cave means there was a little bit of, you can see it as a curve, or there was a opening through that. I recognized a part of the door. So by seeing through that, he could see the part of the door of his house. Beneath it a small foot. So beneath that door there was a small foot. So you could see that foot. Feverishly. Feverishly means symptoms of fever. So here they were all really disturbed by seeing that. The soldiers began to clear the hollow once again. So there was a little bit of gap. They started opening it, clearing it. Then they lifted the door. So the door was there and slowly they took out it. "She is alive," someone said. So there they came to know that the girl is alive. She is alive. She is living. It was a miracle. It is really a miracle. So something miracle happened there. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. Under that debris, the remainings of that destruction, she was alive. She was buried under. So she was under that. And for how many hours? 116 hours. This is how Bridge's confidence of getting back his sister, at least he wanted to see her. If she is dead, yes, he wanted to do her cremation. But if she is alive, then it was a really very happy situation. So he wanted to know that, and thus he got back his sister. She had survived the earthquake. So a very happy news that she survived the earthquake, the cold nights and the wild animals. So she was there for so many hours. So she could be alive. Because of this situation, it is not so easy to be alive, but she survived. It's not only from the earthquake, but also from the cold night and the wild animals there. A ragged cheer went up as the soldiers wrapped her in a warm blanket and carried her to the tent where a makeshift hospital had been set up. Bully lived. The next day, I went to thank the army officer, but he was gone. I did not even know his name. My sister and I went to live with my uncle. Soon after, I got a job at a dhaba near Panipat. Bully stayed back. She started going to school. So, a new life of Bridge and his sister. So, when he came to know that his sister is alive, a ragged cheer. Ragged is old and torn. Means he was in a very sad situation. That's why the usage is given there. Ragged cheer went up as the soldier wrapped her in a warm cloth. The soldiers removed her from that debris. They wrapped her, means they covered her with warm blanket, and they took her to the makeshift camp or hospital which was set up there to give her first aid or to give her some treatment. Bully lived, so she was alive. So the next day he went to thank the army officer, but he could not meet him because he had already gone. He told. So previously you saw he had already told that once we finish our work, we have to move to some other village. He could not know his name also. So now his sister and he went to live with this uncle, and that is Panipat, and he also got a job there, and Bully started going to school. It waited on me that I never thanked that army officer. I hoped that one day I would run into him again. Every time I saw an army man, I would hope it was him. For months I would search for his face in every crowd, and one day I did find him. It was late on a winter's night. Her truck stopped at the dhaba. A man got out. He looked familiar. When he stepped into the light, I saw that it was not him, just someone who bore a strong resemblance. So it waited means it was always there in his mind. So it waited. Something which doesn't go out of the mind, where you are finding it difficult to come out of that situation. It waited on me that I never thanked that army officer. I did not get a situation to thank him. And every day he hoped that one or the other day he will suddenly meet him. Run into means suddenly, without knowing. If you meet somebody, you will be going to some shops for shopping, or you might have gone for a trip. Suddenly you meet your family members or your relatives or your teachers or friends. That is called as run into. Suddenly, without knowing, if you meet somebody, you call it as run into, phrasal verb. So he wanted that. He was expecting one or the other day I am going to meet him suddenly. Every time I saw an army man, I would hope it was him. So he had that hope. So any army man he used to see, he felt that that might be that officer. For months he went on searching for his face in every crowd, and one day I did find him. So this is what he is telling, but you can see what has happened. He is telling that I found him, but see the situation again here. So it was a winter's night and it was late. A truck stopped at his dhaba, and many people came out. A man got out. So there was one man who got out. He looked familiar. He felt that yes, I know him. Familiar means you feel that I have seen him somewhere. A familiar face. When he stepped into the light, so once he came to the place where there was visibility or light, I saw that it was not him. Just someone who bore a strong resemblance. Means it was some other person who bore, means who looked like, or whom he felt had strong resemblance. Similar resemblance, or he looked the same. The man was tired. He asked for a cup of tea. As I served him, Sahib, I felt this strange lightness, this sense of joy. When the man offered to pay, I did not take the money. The next day, it happened again. Every day, I would see someone, a complete stranger, a tired traveler, who reminded me of that officer. It was as if he was everywhere, and every time I served him tea, I felt surge of sheer joy. See, so much of love he had towards that officer, or he was so much thankful to that officer because he helped him to get his sister back. In every person he could see that army officer. He tells there, the man was tired who came and sat there, who resembled that army officer. So he asked for a cup of tea, and Bridge served him. And once that person was fine after having that tea, he felt that strange lightness. So usually when you feel tired, So you have something hot like coffee, tea or milk. You feel relieved. So this is what he saw on his face. This sense of joy. So this was really a sense of joy. You feel happy. The person who drinks it or the person who serves it, both of them feel that when the man offered to pay, so he gave me the amount of that tea, I did not take the money because I saw that joy on his face or a relief out of the tired situation. I felt very happy. That's why I did not take the money. So thereafter, every next day it happened again and again. He got the situation to meet someone completely stranger, means he has never seen him before, a tired traveler, and every time when he saw such people, he used to remember that officer. That reminded me of that officer. It was as if he was everywhere. Everywhere he saw such people, he felt that is that officer or that is a person. And every time I served him tea. So whoever used to meet or those people who were tired used to serve them tea. What did he feel? He tells, I felt surge of sheer joy. Surge means sudden happiness. He used to get that sudden joy. Sheer means completely involved in it. That joy he used to feel because he is serving such people. A month later, I quit my job at the dhaba and returned to those mountains. The dhaba owner was quite relieved. He had no use for a waiter who kept forgetting to present the bill to the customer. Now I am on my own and I am at peace. Here is your bus, Sahib. No, money. You were tired. All I offered you was a cup of tea. Maybe it was the best tea in all Garhwal. Maybe not, but I am happy I could do you this small service. Wish you a safe journey, Sahib. May God be with you. So here you come to know that Bridge did not stay in that dhaba. He shifted his job, means he came to his own village. A month later, I quit my job at the dhaba and returned to those mountains. Those mountains is his village. Now he is giving the explanation. Even the dhaba owner might have felt relieved or satisfied because he was a person who was working as a waiter and many a times he forgot to present the bill to the customers there. He used to forget to give the bill or tell them about the amount. Now I am on my own. What's the meaning? I am on my own means I am doing my own business and I am at peace. I have a peaceful life. So here his explanations gets finished and we are coming to the situation there. Who is the Sahib here? The traveler who met Bridge in the beginning of the story. So now it is the last part of the article or the story. Here is your bus, Sahib. So Bridge is telling that person, that is the traveler, not the army officer. Sahib, it is your bus. He came to give him money and he tells, no, money. You were tired and I offered a cup of tea. Maybe it was the best tea. He is just telling about his tea. Maybe it is the best tea in all Garhwal or may not be because the taste varies. But I am happy that I could serve you. So this was a small service that I did. And he wishes him safe journey and also tells him, may God be with you. So a person of good heart and a lively person, he went on telling his story to a person who is a stranger to him. But happily he explained, he served him with a cup of tea. This tells how this people who are light-hearted or good at heart and they'll be open in expressing will have a lively life. So here children, we come to the end of the story. Very interesting one, and one more thing is you could feel the pain of that destruction, that is earthquake, where people lose their loved ones or they lose everything what they would have earned, and this is really a sad situation, and this is a result of the natural disaster. So that is very important. So we being people, we should be always careful when we overuse the natural resources or when we disturb our Mother Earth or we go on polluting. So we should try to control things, and we are facing it in the present situation. The natural disasters, you cannot control them. You have to face it when you are not being a responsible person when it comes to our nature or environment. And one more lesson what you see here, that Bridge was a person who had lots of patience in him, and he was very lively, and he tried to take that situation in a right way, and he continued his life. So many lessons we get from this story. So read it again and again. And one more thing is, it is written in a very easy English. You have so many words to know, and non-detailed text is actually not for explaining line by line as I have known or what I have experienced, but here I have done it for you all. Keep reading. You have to read it so that you can know the usages and also improve your English reading, writing or speaking. Thank you children.